Welcome, everyone, to the Northeast Indiana Basketball Summit. I'm your host, Ben Smith, joined by my co-host, Jeff Mesker. Before introducing our guest, we want to thank Feel for the Game for providing the platform to have all these resources available live and for replay. If you want to check out the rest of their content, you can head over to feelforthegame.com. Our guest today is Ryan Varga, head coach, South Bend, Washington boys basketball. Coach, can you give us a little bit of background on how you got started, where you're from, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's not letting me share my screen. There you go. Actually, just kind of starting off, I'm from South Bend, born and raised. Went to South Bend Clay, played 4 years there. Ended up going to Valparaiso University. Had my opportunity to kind of go play in the D3, D2 way at like Manchester or whatever, but chose just to kind of go get my education and started coaching while I was a freshman at Valpo. And I coached for a small town school, a 2A school called Boone Grove. Got my first niche there. Just kind of worked my way up, started, 6th grade, went to 8th grade. Next thing you know, taking, the whole 8th grade under control, and then, varsity assistant, then head varsity assistant. And was very fortunate to have my teaching position cut so I could make my way back to South Bend and work under Chad Johnston for 7 years as a JV coach and head assistant. And then I've been the head boys coach at Washington for the last 3 years. So it's been a blessing. It's been fun. And it's a little bit about me and going from there.
Awesome. We're going to talk press defense today.
Yeah. It's my second time doing this, so hopefully I'm a little bit better than the first time. But I know mostly everybody's checking these things out, archived, and it's been great to do so. I'm going to share a screen here. Let me see. It's probably this one. Okay, that should be the PowerPoint. Can you see that?
Looks good to me.
All right, I'm going to move it more towards present. Okay, just a little bit, just about South Bend, Washington. Obviously, we're a 3A school. We're a city school in South Bend. I think we probably have the lowest enrollment out of all the South Bend schools as of right now. So we're in 3A, and I think Clay's also in 3A, and the rest of the South Bend schools are in 4A. But talking a little bit about press defense, and I went over my background. There it is, whatever it may be. And I'm just going to kind of speak on it. I love the ideas of these clinics, and I appreciate you guys putting this on, and Jeremy and the guys, Feel for the Game. It's been a blessing. It's almost overwhelming, but I truly believe the best coaches steal. And as the game continues to evolve, we need to, as coaches, evolve. So this is a great tool to have. And if you're not a coach that is willing to share, I hope you change your mindset on that and become a part of it. Because we can decide if it makes our team better when you have all this information and you say, does it fit my team personnel, my conference or my sectional? And you take what you learn, you might not run any of these things that I run or whatever it may be, but you might learn how to take the concepts and beat a team that runs stuff like this. But I fully believe if you choose to implement something, you have to believe it's best for your team, and not just because, another team's doing it. So I find it sometimes you say, well, this guy's a great coach. I got to get on this. Well, it's not always the case. There's a reason why it fits your system and why it's not. These are just some things that have kind of fit our system and our guys. A few things why we press or why to press. Obviously, if you have the personnel, everyone, thinks of South Bend, Washington being a very quick team. And, they always think that we press because our guys are quick and athletic, and we want to speed things up, of course, and play fast. Another reason, obviously, is your opposing team that you're facing is not making good decisions, that, they don't handle pressure. You want to force them to kind of make quick decisions. You want to slow a team down who is quick to get in transition. Those are always, a way to press, and I'll talk a little bit about that. And kind of as this year, more than ever, and people probably don't know this about us, we use it a lot as a time management tool. And I'll talk a little bit about that when I start talking about some other stuff, but to force a lot of clock to be used up, obviously a lot of teams start their offense, to the wing or a certain side. So we try to disrupt that as much as possible and make them take long possessions offensively, and keep them away from going towards the basket. And then obviously the last one is, the old crap, we're behind down 15. We want to obviously, push the pace to try and get back in it. There you go. Just some advantages and disadvantages. You guys are all professionals. These are just some things that I think of that we have. We try to, obviously when you press, try to create court turnovers, battle back from rough starts and stretches. Our kids love to play fast. Every kid wants to go up and down and play fast. So, that could be fun. It could be fun for them. And you wear down slower teams that are not very well conditioned. Some disadvantages are obviously, you might not have a bench to do so. You might only have 6 players, so you're not in well conditioned. Your guys can be undisciplined and go for the steal and foul, so you get in foul trouble real quick and you get guys out of the game that shouldn't be. You definitely have to practice it. So it takes up a lot of practice and away from other things that you might need to work on. And then lastly, pressing is the biggest gamble in basketball. Whether you trap or whatever it may be, or you go for a steal, those are gambles, and a press is a gamble, especially when you're trapping. So, it could be a disadvantage if it doesn't work out for you. So our kids like to play fast. It's no secret. We're pretty athletic. I found over the course of the years, if we don't start in a press or we don't press, our kids have a tendency to be complacent. So we try to, attack that issue right from the start. We want them to play aggressive. We want to make teams uncomfortable. I'm a firm believer in changing things up and changing people's comfort levels and, changing the pace. So, slow teams, you want to speed them up, but I've also found fast teams don't like to play fast. So, that's things that we do. And like I said, this year we did a lot of time management, and I'll talk about that when I go through the 22. And then take the ball out of an opposing player. We have 2 great players in our conference. We have plenty of great players in our conference, but two studs in our conference, and J.R. Knesny at St. Joe, and then Blake Wesley. It just, they're D1 guys, and we want the ball out of their hands as much as possible. And then the last one is the holy heck, we got off to a slow start. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the main press that we like. And I'm going to be honest with you, this last year and 2 years, we haven't gone to it. But I love the man-to-man press. We call it 11 blitz. It's our run and jump. It's basically our four man-to-man principles, and I'll diagram some of the stuff at the end. I'm just going to go through, and I might just right after this go over it. But our man-to-man, if you watched it, is no middle, no splits, help side early, post defense. So we carry those over into the full court. Ideally, we want to turn the guy with the ball as much as possible. So we're telling our guys, you got to get up in the guy with the ball. The ball's, we're trying to take away the inbound. We're being aggressive. We're not gambling that we give up a 5-on-4 or whatever it may be, but we want the guy with the ball to be turning as much as possible. And if he can do that without getting beat and we don't have to run and jump, I'm perfectly fine with that. We'll get something through our denials, or we'll get something in the half court where we'll be good to go. So we talk about jumping, which is the switch. There's the only place we switch or jump is in the middle of the court, in which we call Main Street. We go from there. So Main Street is the middle of the floor, ideally elbow to elbow down the whole center court. We'll jump in the middle of the floor. So, if you force a guy to the speed dribble in the middle, we're yelling switch, 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 switch. And, the guy next guy up is coming up, taking that man, and the other guy's looping around to get ahead of the ball. So guards, get the ball handler in the speed dribble, we yell switch, and we go from there. And then where we really like to trap, and the only time that we ever trap in our run and jump is in the alleys or on the sidelines. We talk about, a lot of times, we talk about, and I use this analogy. I say, if where do most people get beat up at night? Do they get beat up in the down the center street where everybody's at, or do they take a step down an alley, or and that's when they they kind of get jumped. So we like to call trap, you trap in alleys, and I got that from Chad Johnston. He used to say that all the time. I used to crack up, but it works. Our kids love it. They just start laughing, and we always say, why are we trapping in the center of the floor, and where do we trap? And in the alleys, and they know. So if we force the ball in a speed dribble up the sidelines, the next guy that's up should be flooding the floor, and we're looking to trap, and we rotate counterclockwise, obviously, or clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever it is. We rotate over and go from there. And I'll kind of diagram that out real quick. You guys see me?
Yeah, yep, you're on screen now.
All right, cool. So I don't know if you can see the board, but we kind of look at it like this. Obviously, you got your full court here. You guys see all that? Okay, so you got guys taking it out. Here's the general press breaker, and we'll face guard this, whatever it may be. And we got, here, we got a guy here, a guy on the ball forcing to this side of the force. We want him to catch here, obviously, and anything that we do, we catch here and go from there. Now, in a man-to-man press, this guy's obviously going to be kind of sagging over towards the middle, towards that line. So man-to-man principles, guys basically are always going to screen up, and they do the rollback and whatever it may be, and we go from there. So we switch that. If the ball's entered here, this guy's speed dribble, or whatever, he speeds dribble here. This guy right here should be here. He's jumping here. This guy's looping back to grab this man. Okay, he dribbles this way. Obviously, we're looking to trap here. This guy's rotating over. This guy's shooting all the way back, and then this guy's getting ahead of the ball. So it's real simple. It's not anything you guys haven't seen before or done before, but it's what works with our kids. You guys have any questions on that? Probably not. Okay, we'll go back to. So we like that. It's something that we use, something that we go through, and we practice this daily. But it's basic rotations. Our kids like it. They like going through it. So how we disguise our man-to-man press sometimes too is we'll trap the first pass. And I mean trap the first pass is when the ball is entered from underneath the basket, you're going to trap the first pass. The guy on the ball side that's forcing the ball to that side and guards there are trapping right away. Now what we do is that opposite guard, in most presses you push him towards the middle to take away the middle. We shoot that guard up to take away the reversal. So that's our one trap there. And then once the team breaks it, we're basically sprinting back, matching up, or we're getting ahead of the ball and we're matching up. And that's the only time we trap in what this is called. Okay, and we have a different disguises for it, and we call it different things, and we go from there. But we'll say it out of it. Hey, these 4 possessions, we're in this, and we go from there. Sometimes we run and jump, and we, in the center, and then we say, okay, when it gets back to half court, when our man-to-man defense, we're going to trap the first pass when it gets to the, to the 45. So we mix it all up and we go from there. But that's basically what we do and what we're doing. So that's the first press at Washington that we like to use a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. This last year, I was, we were plagued with injuries. We had guys that we couldn't get in foul trouble that were very important. We weren't as aggressive in the press. So we didn't run a lot of the run and jump as we did probably my first year going through there. So we didn't run the run and jump and through there, and we went more to a soft press as to go through there. The next press that we use, and I like this press, is everybody see it? It says 1-2-1-1. You guys see my PowerPoint? I just want to make sure.
All good.
Okay. All right. So this is the next press that we use at Washington that I like personally. I like it because you can disguise it as a man press. So when you've gone to your run and jump, or you've gone to you're trapped the first pass, full court man-to-man, when you've done those things and you've gone to those things, I really like that you can disguise it, with the 1-2-1-1, because it looks like a man press, especially if they go to that basic formation that I talked about earlier that I diagrammed. If they go to that, 2 guards, screen up, screen back, and you got your guy in the middle and the guy, flashing, whatever it may be. I like it because you can disguise it, and we get a lot of teams that get confused off of that. And the film that we played, I think we played Gary Lighthouse 2 years ago, and we were running and jumping in the first quarter, second quarter, and we switched it to a 1-2-1-1, and they thought it was man, and they kept trying to dribble through it and throw passes through it, and we just we're intercepted. How we teach it is the guy we call the guy on the ball he's like the first baseman. He's a long body who stretches out, forces the ball to one side. Your middle infielders are your 2 guards at the elbows, taking away the middle. You think about shortstop and second base, they're always taking away, and they're playing up the middle if they have to take it away. But they're keeping the ball in the infield, just like your guards. They're keeping it in the in the full court, and they're keeping the ball in front of you. So that's important. And then your center field guy is probably your most athletic guy. He's your center fielder. He's at half court. He's covering sideline to sideline. And then your catcher is probably not your most athletic guy, or some guys put their big back there that is a rim protector, and you don't get anything past there. Basic teaching points, not anything is you're forcing the ball to the sideline for a trap. Once you trap on the sidelines, the opposite guard takes away the middle guy shoots over, takes away the sideline, and the guy back is playing back, protecting the basket. If the ball gets ahead of you in the middle, sprint back and you kind of match up. But you can also salvage a trap, if it goes up the sidelines. And I'll talk about that real quick. So going back to the basic diagram, of the press, how I said you can kind of salvage it, and I'll kind of go through there. So you guys are smart guys, and all these coaches watching are very smart. We all know America's press breaker is this. I don't find too many teams that don't run this, whatever it may be, going through there. So we have, your first baseman's forcing to the side. Instead of face guarding now, we're probably going to get behind a little bit. And then, you got your center fielder. If it's ball side, he's probably going to take this away right away. And then you got your catcher back here who's going to step up and make it seem that he's going there. So we want to still, like our man-to-man catch here, whatever it may be. So the pass goes in here. These 2 guys are going to trap. This guy's got the middle. He's taken away here. And we're forcing it back. Now, if the ball goes back, we're just going to stay in it. Almost like a 1-2-1, still 1-2-1-1. We just kind of back it up, whatever it may be. And if it goes back over here, we'll trap here. Now, what I mean is if we can get a speed dribble up here, a lot of times what we'll do is, and we tell the kids, the ball comes speed dribble, say he gets out of this trap. Well, at this point, this guy's going to come trap, just like your man-to-man principles. This guard's going to come trap. This guy's going to rotate over here, and then this opposite guard is going to shoot here, and then this guy's going to shoot back, whatever it may be. So we talk about how you can still salvage a trap, even though you get beat in the 1-2-1-1. You can salvage a trap, especially in this area and this area here. Now, if you get thrown out of there, you got to sprint back to the paint. You got to match up and go from there. And we pretty much go back to man out of our traps that we talk about. Lastly, the press that we've found a lot of success in is a 2-2-1. There's 2 reasons I went to this press this year, and even a little bit last year, and we kind of started it a little bit. We were more of a 1-2-2 in my first year, but we were more aggressive. We had more guys, so we trapped out of it a little bit more. But this year, our guys are still athletic. They're still long. They can still jump. We just were about 6 or 7 deep. So we wanted to press and we wanted to, make teams uncomfortable, and we wanted to get in teams, but we just didn't have the bodies. So we kind of switched it to a 2-2-1. There's no basic secrets. Our two guards in the front, our least athletic guy in the back. Same principles, and that's what I like about these three presses. You're trapping up the sidelines, keeping it out of the middle, and on ball is looking to turn his man and apply extreme pressure. So in any press that we have is when the guy's on the ball, we tell him you got to get up in him. If you get beat, the help's going to be there. They'll be there to trap, or they'll be there to run and jump if we're in our man. And a 2-2-1 is no different. We want that guy up on the ball, making it hard for him to go through there. And the opposite guard has the middle. You're shading to that side. Everybody shades over and takes away that sidelines. But we want to keep it on the sidelines. If it's reverse back, fine. We're still in it. We're pinching the middles. We're forcing everything to the sidelines. We'll let you throw it there, but we're not going to let you throw it in the middle. And I think we got probably our most 10 counts since I've been there this season alone, just not allowed to go into the middle. We will go soft in it. We won't trap a few possessions, and then out of a timeout, or I might off a score or something like that, we might start trapping out of it right away. But sometimes we just lure teams into traps. Sometimes we let them throw it into certain areas, and we say we're going to trap those. We used a lot of it for clock management. We played Connorsville and Kokomo, and everybody knows Connorsville is a slow-paced team. And we ran 22 against them, and most people would think that we were running 22 against them to basically speed them up. We actually were using it for clock management. Our big was out with an ankle injury. We were down one player, our starter. We had guys that were bench players that hadn't got a lot of minutes. We knew that we had to extend every possession that we got. And we tried to slow them down from getting into any flow and just disrupt it, because once they get it to where they got to go, they're a very good team. And we got some turnovers over it, and we trapped out of it, but we used it for clock management. We tried to control that clock as much as possible that game, and it's kind of crazy that you wouldn't think that a team like us could do that against Connorsville, but we did a really good job of executing it, and we did. So we didn't let them set in our defense, and we managed the clock. They had to work for everything they got. I think we kind of wore them down a little bit, and even though we had kind of a lesser of the two guys. Lastly, drills, and I'll talk about this, but I wanted to just kind of share with you. And I wanted to be brief. I know there's so much information, and I'm not any a guru under any of this stuff, but I wanted to share some screen with you guys. Hold on, let me go back. I know most people will be kind of tuning in. Let me find it here. Exit. Okay. Okay, so let me see here. All right, so this is my first year, and if you look at our bench here, I mean, we were deep. We had a big bench. A lot of these guys were I had 3 sophomores. I think I only had like 2 juniors on this bench, and the majority of them were seniors. So we really got after it this year. So and this is against Lake Central. As you can see, we call this 11 blitz. Tony gets him in a speed dribble. We don't necessarily want to trap there, but we did, and I think we ended up getting a turnover. But speed dribble, there's a trap. He throws it away. We're forcing up the sidelines. Okay, now we call it 55. I love my assistant gave us our I didn't even notice that he gave all of our play calls away. I'm going to have to change all these. That's not like anybody doesn't know anyway. But we call it 55. This is our trap, the first pass. We're denying it. Corey right here, he actually plays at Indiana Tech. He's doing really well. He shouldn't be really taking that guy away. He should have let him catch. But if you look at it, my big right here, Jalen, he's doing an excellent job on the ball. We're looking to trap that. We shouldn't have gave up the middle, but we force them to a turnover. Here, same thing, trap, get a steal, make them play uncomfortable. This was probably a better one right here. Let him catch, trap, Tony shoots up. We get a steal right there. Our kids are playing really aggressive this quarter. outscored them 29 to, I think, 4 at that time. Here's 22 against Crown Point. As you can see, DeMarcus is on the ball. Janai's here. Jalen's pinched in the middle. 22 here, if you look at my cursor, he's probably a little bit too far over to his man. He should be pinching towards the middle. We let it get reversed back, pinch the middle, throw up the sidelines, take the pass away. Should do a better job, but we did get a 10. Same thing, DeMarcus middle, pinch in the middle, sidelines, we trap. He rotates, we get a steal. Penn. We're still in 22. Cade should be a little bit further up. Weird. Actually, yeah, that's 11. Yeah, 22 is a little there. We just backed it up a little bit. I don't know what. We were on a run here too. But forced them out of their comfort zone. 22 here again, up on the ball, moves like a string. He's up. And, aggressive once it gets there, we're looking to trap. That's one of those areas that we look to trap. This is Diamond. We ran this against Gary Lighthouse. We're up right now, but before this quarter, we were running and jumping and we were getting beat. We went in halftime and we talked about, some changes that we still need to press them because they were throwing the ball over. The problem was we were throwing the ball over everywhere too. But what we did was, instead of putting that guy up on the ball, it's still a 1-2-1-1. We took him off because they weren't throwing it long, and we kind of baited him into a lot of traps and going from there. And we just went and got him, and aggressive. Took away the middle. Corey was an excellent center fielder, and we were right back into it. Boom, looking to trap. There, we got him in our area. Trap, get a steal, and go from there. And then obviously Cade is playing center field here, taking away the middle. That's just sprint back and matching up and rotating. You have athletic guys that read in anticipation. That was a tip. Those are just a few things that we obviously do. Nothing special. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You guys all do this stuff. Drill work. We do a lot of one-on-one, full court. So we'll have a guy here, and he's got to turn him. He'll start here on ball. He's got to turn him, and then he gets to half court. He's forced into a side. We do a lot of that, just turn drill. And there, we'll do 2-on-1 trapping. We work on some stuff. Nothing you guys don't do, we do. We'll set a guy here or right here, and we got a guy on ball, and we'll talk about just keeping him there, 2-on-1 trapping, and just keep him in that corner. We always talk about shrinking the area. So if the sideline's here and the baseline's here, we want to back him in the corner. The old expression from whatever movie it is, no, Dirty Dancing, nobody puts baby in the corner. We want to put him in a corner and make him retreat, dribble back as much, and then we're going to go trap, whatever it may be. And then we'll do 3-on-2. We'll practice it again, and we'll add the defender here, and we'll go on ball, whatever it may be, and we take away this guy in the middle, and we practice it from there. We'll do that. That's another drill that we do. When we're practicing run and jump, it's very hard to do it from a 5 standpoint or 5-on-5 at first. So what we practice is 4-on-4 shell, but we do it in the full court. So we'll kind of just I'll draw a new one. Probably got a permanent marker. My kid is using all my markers on his little book. I'm going to probably have a permanent marker on my wall. So we'll just do 4-on-4. We'll have a coach throw it in. We'll do the basic, set up here, and then we'll set up here. And if this guy's on the ball, he's flooding the floor here. He's help side here, and we just run it from there, 4-on-4. So we'll say, okay, all right, we're running and jumping in the middle, and then we're trapping up the sidelines. So we really force the guys to go here so the ball gets entered here. He's pushed the ball. This guy has to be ahead of the ball, so he's got to back up ahead. We always talk about if they're going to throw it back, that's fine. It's okay. If you're throwing it back, our kids are like, well, I'm not going to let my man catch it. We're pressing. No, it's okay. Let them throw it back if they have to and go from there, whatever it is. So speed dribble, obviously is here. They're looking to trap. And this really teaches that this guy has to come over, and then this guy that's up here, you got to drop all the way back. And that's a hard concept for kids to learn right off the start. So that's why 4-on-4 shell and the full court is perfect for a run and jump man press. It's perfect even on rotations for a zone press. But I really think to really be a good press team, you got to teach the man, just like if you're a zone team, all zone teams teach man principles and then they go to their zone. To be a good press team, you're going to have to teach man principles to be a really good press team so that you can have the correct rotations. And all the same rotations that apply to man obviously apply to the zone. And that's kind of what we teach. That's kind of what we preach. We really tell the kids to get after it. We really tell them to take, I've said this before, in the man-to-man, calculated gambles. Don't be out there just reaching and gambling everywhere you go. But it's okay to get a speed dribble and whatever it may be. And a common mistake is, if you get beat, sprint ahead of them. Don't try and ride them. Sprint ahead of them and go from there. But other than that, it's not rocket science. These are some of the things that we do. I like to switch things up. If you've probably played us a couple of times, you've probably seen different things that we've switched up. We used a 1-2-2 in the half court this year. I've used it before. We've done a few things. We've gone 22 back zone a few times. But I'm really big on trying to disrupt teams and their flow and what they got going on. And I think multiple presses is a way to do that. And I think if you can mirror presses together and make different, variations of it, in a 2-2-1, if they have a really good ball handler, if Blake Wesley's getting the ball and we're running 2-2-1, I might tell the top two guys, just go trap him, make him throw out of it, make him throw it to somebody that he doesn't have the ball. And then whoever stays, whoever's guarding Blake at that time, the one guy go back and recover and the other guy just face guard him. Those are things that we do and try to disrupt things and take away good scores. Or, like I said, in Connorsville, we used it to kind of slow I don't know why you want to slow the pace any more than Connorsville does. I love Coach. He's a great team. They execute, one of the best teams I've seen execute any half court set in a long time. And their efficiency is crazy. But why you'd want to slow them down, I don't know. We tried it, we did it, it worked. If we played them again, it probably wouldn't. But it's just different things to try out. And I think that's what's great about press defenses as a coach too. What's your personality? I like to gamble a little bit. I like to take chances. It's like going for a 3 or a 2 at the end of the game. Your players, it's kind of what you like to do in your philosophies. It's worked well for me. It's worked well for our program. It's worked well for Washington. So that's just what we do. I won't take up any more of you guys' time. I wanted to keep it short and sweet. If you have any questions, I know Coach, has my info, and Ben, you have my info, or whatever it may be. I'm open to share any X's and O's or anything. I like to talk basketball. If you have any more questions, email me, text me. It doesn't matter. It's any time of the day. I'll get back to you and go from there. I'm good.
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I don't have any questions. Ben, do you have any?
Yeah, I got a couple thoughts or questions. So if you had to assign a percentage that you are in a full court press.
A percentage? Like I said, my first year, we pressed, dang near the whole game almost. For the most part, we were trying to get up in you. Obviously, if we got a lead, we might take a step off to a certain degree. I'm not 100%, up 25 and pressing, or up 30 and you're pressing, which we never would be. But I would say last year, I honestly would say, I'd say we were roughly in at maybe 30-40% in a press. And that was just because last year we didn't have the horses to go out there and do it. But some games like I said, we might take away certain aspects. So we might be in a 2-2-1 to delay something or slow teams down. I think it all depends on your opponent. I think it all depends on the coach that you're facing. Eventually, we play in a tough conference and we have some tough coaches. And we play Northridge. I mean, I think against Northridge, I don't think we pressed at all against them. So, we wanted to conserve our energy to play in the half court because they were so good and they were so good shooters and they run such a great offense that if that's not a Zoom that you haven't checked out, you should. But they run a great offense, and it was hard for us if we're going to be guarding guys that that are going to go through 9 million screens. We can't be wearing out our guys trying to get a good team like that to turn over the ball because they're probably not going to. They're gonna a man press. If you got a good guard, they're not gonna. They know not to dribble up the sidelines. They're gonna keep it in the middle. They're gonna set that hard screen there or whatever it may be. So they're gonna take things away. Al Rhodes, at my first year doing it, we made a living after trapping that first pass and the man-to-man jump. And then next year we play him, or about third quarter, or second quarter, he's shooting that guy out so we can't go up and take him the reversal away. So good coaches are going to make adjustments and take it away from you. And it might be like, well, hell, we got to get out of that now. It's not going to work. And I look at my assistant, well, that's not working. Let's try something else. So it's the flow of the game. You read it. Some games, if I'm playing a team that is less athletic, we might be willing to be in it 60 or 70% of the time, and go from there. Or we're going to try and trap in the half court or do something at half court to press the flow of the game. But I would say last year was 30 to 40% around there. Maybe a little bit earlier on and situations, out of timeouts or anything like that. But if you get on a roll, against Valpo, we got on a roll. We started pressing right away to be aggressive. We had a bad loss to Adams before. We're like, oh, we're going to get after it. So we got after it right away, and it kind of worked, and we never went away from it. And the kids, they lasted the whole game, and it worked out well. So to answer your question, I think to me personally, it's who you're playing. Great. We have some great coaches in Indiana at high school level. They're going to make adjustments. They're going to get you out of it. If they've watched enough film, they're going to find the key part of your press that's probably a weakness. So, it all depends who you play.
Cool. One follow-up to that, I like to ask, I'm a defensive guy as well. So if you're not pressing, where is your pickup point for the ball handler?
It depends so we have two different types so we call our man-to-man 11 and sometimes in games some teams are very good in transition. So picking up right away, some teams you can't do that with. So some teams will just say, we gotta pick up. We'll just right at half court. Your heels better be on that line at half court, and you better pick up your man right then and there. And if guys are we teach guys if they run back to the baseline up the sidelines, you got to flood the floor, and you shouldn't be all the way back with your man. You should be up looking to help or whatever it may be. Generally, we try to keep somebody on ball all times, especially if they have a point guard that we don't really think is a very good ball handler. Against St. Joe, against JR, he averages about 30. So I think he even might have had as much as we wore him down. I think he had it against us. But we told our guy, after we score or whatever, or even if we don't score, you better shoot up and pick him up right away. You're face guarding him right away. So if he's out of bounds, go guard him. So whatever it may be, I'd say you can say 3/4 court. Like I said, a lot of things that we do, and I think I'm getting, me personally and my assistants, I think I'm getting personally better at. My first year, it was up, and my kids make fun of me because I said this in the man, I'm always saying up, because I want them to be aggressive. But I think as years have gone by and now I'm getting older, for Pete's sakes, I think it's come down to me and watching coaches do these virtual clinics and watching how other guys manage games. I think for me, it's all about scouting. And I think you're how much percentage you're willing to give up as far as your press or where you want to pick up is always dependent on the guy that you're facing and the tendencies that they're doing. And I'm really big at watching. I probably watch a team's offense more than I watch their defense because I want to know their vocal points. Whereas vice versa, my assistant, and I just got on him last night, and he's in the meeting. My assistant likes to watch just their offense. And so, it kind of is a good mixture for us, or whatever it may be. I watch both, but he only watches offense. So, you know, to get their stuff and whatever it is. So it's kind of crazy. But go back, it's who you're scouting, who you're coaching. And I think if you dive into film and you know, coach will tell you, you know, that, you know, it's who you have. You know, I know Al Rhodes is a genius. He's a Hall of Famer. You got so many good coaches. Radiker at Northridge is a great coach that we coach against. So, you know, and then IC is loaded with great coaches. So it's who you got. You know, guys are going to make adjustments, and it goes back to who they have as personnel and what you're trying to accomplish. What's your goals for that game you're trying to accomplish? Are you trying to speed them up? Are you trying to slow them down? Are you trying to take a certain guy away? What action are you taking away? Those are all different things that you got to take into account if you're going to look to press. And then lastly, you know, if a team's got a good quarterback, you know, just like you're going against Peyton Manning, he's going to pick you apart if you're going to, you know, he's going to pick up a blitz and pick you apart. You know, so if they got a good quarterback, a point guard that's going to know how to pass out of zones or know how to get through ball handling, you got to take that into a quarter two when you're pressing.
Awesome. Well, I don't have any more thoughts. Jeff, did that spark anything for you?
It did. It's great. You know, not to say that it wasn't good. I just don't have any questions. I like listening, and you know.
No problem. And like I said, and I appreciate you guys doing this. And I talk to Jeremy all the time. And like I said, you guys are willing to text me anytime and talk basketball. And any coach that eventually watches this, there might only be like 4 or maybe 2 or 0. But whatever coach wants to watch this, and if you're watching it, I know I've gone back and watched a lot of these things and found them helpful. And I still have a list of stuff that I'm going to go back and watch. It's hard to keep up. You guys have so many of them throughout the day. But, you know, if any coach is watching this, if you guys need my info, I know Jeremy puts it on the site, or I'm sure, you know, Ben or you guys will put it on the site and get a hold of me. Or you can just, you know, find me on Twitter or find my email at school and go from there. So appreciate it. Thanks for having me. These things are fun. I can't wait to watch, you know, the rest of them. And if you guys ever do anything like this again, you know, count me in.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon. All right, Coach?
Thank you.